There are a few different approaches we could take to solve this SAT math question. If you have a strong understanding of the relationship between the factors of a function and the zeros of a function, then you should be able to find the value of t by just looking at this function. Remember that if a function is in factored form, each factor corresponds to a zero, which is a number that produces an output of 0. This is because of something called the zero product property, which states that if the product of two quantities is 0, then at least one of the quantities has to equal 0. So the zeros of this function are -2 and 3, which each correspond to an x-intercept on the graph of the function. Now if we go back to our SAT question, we're given that 24, 0 is a point on the graph of the function, which means that 24 is a zero of the function. And since the first factor corresponds to a zero of -14, the second factor has to correspond to a zero of 24, so t must equal 24. Now if you didn't make this connection, you could have always used the fact that 24, 0 is a point on the graph to write this equation. And now we can solve this equation by either distributing the 38, adding 912 to both sides, and then dividing by 38, or just using the zero product property to conclude that t minus 24 must equal 0, so t equals 24. Now remember that 24 isn't our final answer. We're asked to find g of 0, so we need to plug 0 into the function, which gives us 14 times 24, which we can plug into Desmos to get 336 as our final answer.